It's like muggy out. I landed in New York City, LaGuardia, greatest airport ever, trust me. And I got outside, and I couldn't even believe how humid it was out here. Gross. And I couldn't believe how stupid I was to think, oh, I'll save a few dollars and not rent my car tonight. I'll go get it in the morning and save money on a day of rental. So I'll just walk to the hotel. It's only a mile away. No big thing, right? Okay. Never claimed I was the smartest guy on the planet. Frugal at times, yes. Smartest, no. Trying to extend that expense account as far as I can. So we'll talk about something else on Coast to Coast Pinball episode 168. Let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast commentary. I'm a man out of quarters. I had to go double check and make sure this was episode 168. Just got off a plane, flying all day long, coming to you not live here on Tuesday, May 26, 2015, from the LaGuardia Airport area of New York, Long Island, if you will. How you doing? So this is Tuesday after Memorial Day, which means it feels like Monday, and I'm totally thrown off, and I'm on this long road trip. There's a lot going on in pinball, obviously. There's a lot going on with my work. Lots of stuff to do, people to see, things like that. Really good guests lined up for Coast to Coast Pinball. Pretty excited. Some people who I would have always liked to have on the show. Some people who I really want to have on the show, and just lined up finally to have them on the show. And by saying all this, I probably am jinxing it. None of it will happen, but I have some good guests lined up for the show right now, and it's going to be a good week to 10 days of talking pinball here, which is good because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Clearly, we have the Zidware J-Pop Pintasia situation hanging over the pinball community, at least the boutique pinball community, the independent company, boutique, whatever, small build community, certainly like a dark cloud, and we will get into updating that here in a little bit. But first,
5 fast thoughts.
Somebody wrote me and said, where did this 5 fast thoughts thing come from? Is that your way of, cheating? They were insinuating that I was doing this to, somehow wedge a bunch of stuff into the show really quickly so I don't have to go too in-depth on things. And to that I say, yeah, hello, that's exactly what it is. Plus, sometimes I get subjects that I jot down, and I just don't know if it's not really forum static because it's not based around the internet. It's not really something I could go super deep into with a highlights and lowlights. It's not a trip report. It's just a little bit of news or a thought that I had when thinking about this show, which I think about this show all the time. I think about you, friendly listener, all the time. And 5 fast thoughts is just a nice way to start the show off often with some good stuff and just, clean up, housekeep a little bit. So, the first thing on 5 fast thoughts, we have a new world champion. So, pinball is kind of one of those things like boxing in a way, or pro wrestling, if you will. WWF, NWA, anybody? Where we actually have multiple world champions at any given time, right? So Keith Elwin won the Papa World Championships. That's the Papa World Championships this year, and he's the world champion, right? Well, you also have the IFPA World Championships. IFPA 12 just took place in Sweden this past week. If you were listening to our last episode, Josh Sharp, you would know that. And they crowned the IFPA World Champion. So who's the true world champion? I mean, I'm not going to make that call. I'm not going to decide that. But we have a new IFPA world champion, and that is, actually, he's a 3-time winner, and that is from Italy, Daniele Aciari. And I'm probably butchering your name, and I do apologize. He defeated Mats Runston 5-3 in the World Championship final. Just for your personal info, in the championship rounds, and I streamed this live and watched this live. The final, the 8 games that they played, and I believe you have to. I don't totally know how this works. Just full disclosure, we can ask Josh. If you win 4 and you're up by 2, I believe it's over. 4 games. but 4-3 is not a win. You have to win by 2. So he won 5-3 over Mats. So Daniele won on Scared Stiff, Radical, very cool, Metallica, X-Men. Mats won on Earthshaker, Gorgar, and Matahari. And in the final, I watched this happen live, it all came down to Captain Fantastic of all games. And it was actually really interesting watching them both play Captain Fantastic, because I picked up some tips if I were to happen to run into that classic game at, say, Pinburg this year. I got some things in my back pocket now. So congratulations to Daniele. Fantastic player who I think that's no surprise to anyone. They do the team kind of tournament ahead of the finals, where it's like the big, bracketed tournament that's set up by a day of like qualifying. But they do the Epstein Cup, which is Europe versus USA. Very golf-like in the way that it works. And this year, this is not a fast thought, I understand. This year, Team Europe was Frank Bona, Mats Runston, Paul Jongma, Michael Trepp, Jorian Engelbrechtsson, Jorgen Holm, Daniele Asiari, Robert Sutter, against the U.S. team of Zach Sharp, Josh Sharp, Trent Augustine, Kelly George, Bob Matthews, Adam Becker, John Repligol, Chris Stevens, and we won. So we won that one, 122 points to 112 points. In the World Championship final, there were no Americans in the semifinals. Europe had their revenge. So interesting stuff on the competitive side for sure. We'll talk about that more with Josh and get a full recap of the tournament and find out why Josh didn't bring the crown back to the Coast to Coast Pinball Podcast. I had one mission for you, Josh Sharp. It's all right. Fast thought number 2. We got an updated video from Stern Pinball today on their Facebook page, which showed a whitewood with the Gene Simmons head, which Gene Simmons, just on the whitewood, outside of the KISS playfield, just by himself on a whitewood with inserts, is very frightening looking. Kind of scares me. Kind of reminds me of the clown from It. Stephen King's It, the TV miniseries they did on that. Just freaks me out. Anyway, so there was some disappointment in that spinning disc in the original videos, where we saw balls thrown up into the spinning disc area and it just sort of dribbled back out. It wasn't that cool. But now we see on a leveled whitewood game with John Borg testing out the discs, the demon disc, as we're going to call it from here on out, as they referred to it in the notes on the video. The ball is thrown out harder and it is more random, and the ball does shoot out at pretty good angles. It's still not a super wide opening like Tron, but it is going to be a nice piece of gameplay. Better than we thought, I guess is what you would say, and I think the feedback that they're seeing there is pretty positive. So it's good to see that. Good to see quick reactions from the Stern social media group. It's a new day. It's a new day in Stern social media, and I like that day. It's a good thing. Fast thought number 3. Walking Dead code update. I'll probably go deeper into this on a future episode, but I can tell you it was a big update. It was a long time coming. Of course, those in the Where's the Code movement have been banging drums loudly saying they want this game, polished, finished, whatever you want to call it. But it was a very welcome code update. It came right before the holiday weekend, which I know is much appreciated. I saw some sporadic instances of people claiming they were having issues with the update or games freezing, but I also saw many people really happy with the new rule set. Some things did change. I know some multi-ball stacking changed, and it is actually very much changing the way that The Walking Dead plays. There will be new strategies, new ways to score. I think just the scoring in general is changing. Looks like higher scores are easily attainable now. And I think so far so good, and I had one person email me in particularly who listens to the show and has had a Walking Dead, one of the very early Walking Dead pros up in Los Angeles, who's been kind of disappointed with the game, is what he's told me in private conversations. He said that this was a game changer, Get it? It's a game changer. It changes the game. But literally a game changer, and he thought this was really going to make him happier with it was his first new inbox, Walking Dead, so he seemed much happier. And I know Mr. Josh Sharp has a Walking Dead, and he will be on the show in a couple weeks or something like that. I don't know when we're going to do the next show with Josh. But when he is on, he will have gotten some time on the new code, and we will dissect that with Josh. So that was glad to see that happen. Very good. Fast thought number 4. I want to touch on 2 events that have been emailed to me recently, and I wanted to give them a little shout out. The first is Pinnapalooza. Pinnapalooza. See, it's a play on Lollapalooza. See what they did there? Pinnapalooza. June 27th and 28th in Bloomfield, New York. So this is the Western New York Pinball Group, who have been longtime supporters of Coast to Coast Pinball. I remember getting emails from these guys way back when, so absolutely I want to give them a shout out for this very unique and very cool event they're doing. There's camping, 2 days of pinball, a tournament. I think it's mainly centered around the tournament, I want to say. A and B divisions, $15 at the door, $2 per game, A and B divisions, 2 days of camping, Western New York, Bloomfield, New York. Check out Pinnapalooza if you're in the area. And you can check them out at wnypinball.com. So that's Western New York Pinball.com, wnypinball.com. And also, I want to give a shout out to a new show this year that's in New England, and that's Pintastic New England, July 10th and 11th. In Sturbridge, Massachusetts. And this one has actually really bummed me out, and I got to meet one of the organizers for Pintastic New England at another show earlier this year, and I immediately felt really bad because I'm in New England all the time. It's part of my work territory. I travel New England. I love New England. I always thought it was odd they didn't have a big show. I'll go ahead and leave that in. I can't tell you how scared I just got. I had loaded the Pintastic New England site and apparently had clicked on a video that started playing a song really loudly through the same headphones that I'm recording the show in. I jumped about 2 feet off my chair because I thought it was in my hotel room. I don't know if I would assume that was a song by the band Boston. That scared me to death. So thank you, Pintastic New England, for giving me a heart attack here. Not live on the air. I'll go ahead and leave it. Yeah. Like, my heart is pounding because I couldn't figure out what is happening because I'm in this hotel room. And I've had a couple fire alarms go off on me in the middle of the night in hotel rooms, and that was basically the effect of me jumping up in the air, not knowing what was happening. So, where was I? I was trying to tell you that it bummed me out really badly because there is absolutely no way possible I can get to Pintastic New England because I have a work conflict that will not allow me to be out there, and that's a bummer because I would really love to get out and support these guys. So I implore you, if you're in New England, go check out PintasticNewEngland.com, see what they've got going on. I know they have speakers. They have a low admission rate, which is cool. They'll have vendors. I would imagine we will get deeper into it before their show in July. I know they have multiple tournaments scheduled, so please go check it out. And we'll touch on that a little bit more, but I just want to give them a quick shout out tonight. Thank you for the heart attack, Pintastic New England. And my final fast thought here tonight is I joined Reddit tonight again. I've been on Reddit for a long time personally, and I've known that there was a subreddit, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to Reddit and learn. There's a whole world out there waiting for you. I went to Reddit, reddit.com, and I went to the subreddit on pinball and was like, why have I not ever joined here as Coast to Coast Pinball? So I did, and I just threw up a hello and kind of browsed through some Reddit while I was on my plane tonight. Some really good stuff up there. There was like a walkthrough of IFPA 12 somebody posted, and a lot of this stuff's probably cross-posted on the pin side. I really like Reddit just because there's a certain flow and layout to it that I always like. But go check it out if you're looking for some more pinball content. It's cool because videos stream pretty easily right in the Reddit pages, especially if you're using the never-ending Reddit suite. I like that. I found an interesting post of there's a venue, I believe, in Austin, Texas. Maybe it's not in Austin, Texas, but I think the artist here is from Austin. Live from the Pin Church. featuring a girl here named Rebecca Loeb, I believe. And it's basically live music, a singer-songwriter type music, playing in a room full of pinball machines, which I thought was cool. So, all sorts of good stuff on Reddit. Check that out if you're so inclined, and say hello. All right, so episode 167 was an entire episode where I basically broke down the letter that John Papaduke sent out to his customer peeps, his folks who had paid him money for games, which he was now telling everyone he could not build, did not have any money left. He was excited to announce a new partnership, but didn't tell us much about who those people were. Since then, the folks that are the licensee in that first letter have come forward. They have a name. They're going up by the name of Pintasia. Leading Pintasia is a guy named Bill. Bill is a businessman from Canada. Pinsider. I had it right here. I don't want to quote this wrong. W.C. Brandis. So it's William something Brandis. Bill Brandis. I don't know if it matters. Bill was on the matchmaker show with Millionaire Matchmaker show, something like that. Trying to, in his post explaining that, was trying to draw attention to his hotel property that he owns, and he said did so good for him. I'm all for it. So basically what we have now is a new letter to everybody. I would call this an obvious reaction to the reaction of the first letter from John, because, yeah, I kind of went off. I did a whole episode basically saying that I thought that letter from John was ill-advised, ill-thought-out, ill-timed, not a good way to start whatever this new idea was, and it had major glaring holes in it. I think a lot of people thought that. It got torn apart on Pinside, clearly. The idea of, having credit towards a new game, like cutting in half, did not go over well, like I did not think it would. And so a new letter was sent out. And I guess I told myself I was not going to go through this thing line by line, but here I am, almost 1 a.m, going to go through this line by line. Let's talk about it, because I think we need the backstory before we really comment much more on what's happening right now. So, dear fellow Zidware customers, and let's keep in mind right there off the start that tells you that whoever's writing this letter is a Zidware customer, has skin in the game, as it may be. Pintasia Design Inc. is the licensee to Magic Girl, Radioatomic, Zombie Adventureland, and Alice in Wonderland. We want to share with you who we are and why we are here. We are in the same boat as you. We have interests in both Raza and Magic Girl. By investing our own resources of time, money, and efforts, Pintasia, on a best efforts basis, will do everything that they possibly can to help get back what we all lost to Zidware. To be clear, Pintasia is a third party and is not part of Zidware, the company, or their liabilities. All right? So basically what they're saying is they paid in advance for some portion of a zombie game and a Magic Girl. They see that the end is here, and they're jumping in to try and help. They are investing their own resources of time, money, and efforts. I believe all that to be true. Pintasia on a best efforts basis. I don't know that I've ever heard that term before. On a best efforts basis. Not exactly sure what that wording means. It sounds like it means something, but I don't know what that means. They'll do everything they possibly can to help get back what we all lost to Zidware. And then they say they're a third party. They're not part of Zidware, the company, or their liability. So, like we saw in John's letter, there's definitely everyone's trying to put distance in between the new group and John and Zidware. Pintasia is a newly formed company set up to bring the best talent in all necessary facets of pinball to produce extraordinary games ready for production. And then there's bullet points under that. Business development, Bill Brandis. Business restructuring, real estate holdings, commodities, investment funds. This guy's a businessman. He figures out how to make money out of businesses. Finance and operations, Sabrina Wee. investment banker, business consultant, and then Deloitte and Touche alumni. I don't know what that means. Must be Canadian. That's basically somebody else who's into money and figuring out what to do with money. Art design. This is where it starts to get sort of interesting. Art design. Zombie Yeti, artist for Magic Girl, Raza, and Alice in Wonderland. Zombie Yeti popped up in the Pinside thread concerning J-pop weeks ago, basically at his wit's end, saying, hey, I didn't know this was all happening on here. Oh my gosh, John's not paid me. He was kind of where we all were. And now Zombie Yeti is on board and is posting in this thread. If you can get through all the thousands and thousands of posts, Zombie is in there saying he's on board. He wants to see the games get made. He put a lot of hard work and effort into these games. He wants to get paid as well. Technical support, Jim Martin. Service and support for machines. I don't know Jim personally. Consultant, asterisk, game design, John Papaduke, Zidware Inc. And this is where the blurriness continues of, is John involved or not? And I think that becomes a talking point the more we talk about this. He lists his legal counsel, and then he says, manufacturer, to be determined, must be proven quality manufacturer. Okay. Programmer, to be determined, must have experience with deep rule sets. I will tell you, when I read that sentence, it made me cringe a little bit. Must have experience with deep rule sets sounds very much like, and please, fellow listener, don't take offense to this, because I mean none. It just sounds like what anybody who browses Pinside and posts on a daily basis would write in that spot. It just sounds like sort of the first thing you would throw out. It's like, oh yeah, we need someone with deep rule sets. It sounds like, a bunch of guys in a basement maybe. Like, what do we need? We need deep rule sets. Put that on there. I just felt that was telling on some level that programmer, make sure they have deep rule sets. Meanwhile, the person who did a bunch of the programming work for Magic Girl is posting all over this thread saying, hello, I have not been paid for all my work. Here's a list of the work I've done. But they're looking for somebody with experience with deep rule sets. Well, that, my friend, narrows it down to about 3 or 4 people on the planet. So good luck with that. Asterisk. John Papaduke is strictly a consultant. He has no interest in Pintasia and does not make any business decisions. His role is strictly defined as artistic design for the completion of the 3 machines in progress. Okay. So, strictly a consultant. Consultants get paid, generally. At least in my world, they get paid. He has no interest in Pintasia. Means I said that what they're saying is he doesn't own any part of Pintasia. He is licensing them the intellectual property for these games. It has been asked numerous times in this thread, how much did you pay for these licenses? And it has not been answered numerous times. And normally, I will tell you this, in 999 times out of 1,000, I would say, yeah, it shouldn't be answered. It's none of your business. However, in this instance, it might be different. We'll get to that. But I think in this instance, it might be different. Here, I'm going to make a note so I don't forget that. Money IP. I will not forget to come back to that. The agreement provided by our attorney was to quantify Zidware customers, enabling us to plan a viable business structure. So they want to count you and see what money they have out there and who wants a game. We've extended the deadline to June 30th, 2015. Please use updated agreement attached. When I read that, I also kind of cringed because I thought, oh my gosh, they knew John sent that other letter out. Like, I really hoped that was John just freaking out about the lawsuit coming at him, maybe more lawsuits coming at him, up too late at night and saying, I got to get this off my chest. I'm sending this out. We've been talking about this. Good. And they said, okay, fine. I think they thought that was a good idea. And then the backlash started, and so we had this letter. So they've extended the deadline to June 30th. Because originally, I think that deadline was what, June 1st? Next week? That was me, kind of mocking them, saying, hurry, hurry, hurry. And I wasn't saying they were doing that to be deceptive. I was just saying, hurry, hurry, in like a, come on, just in the short-sightedness of it all. So now you have until June 30th, which I got to tell you, I don't think that's much better. I really don't. Please use updated agreement attached. We are not asking for any money now. and we hope to delay additional payments until production is confirmed. This will largely depend on the manufacturing agreement we enter into. We will release the information upon successful execution. So what they're saying now also is the backlash of, no way am I sending you more money. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much success you've had in real estate or hotels or whatever it is. I'm not sending anybody else any more money on these games designed by John Papaduke, because that is pretty much the reaction they got to this request for additional money to, pay off the rest of the game or turn your zombie game into a Magic Girl. Now they're saying, okay, that's not going to work, clearly. So we're not asking for money now. And we hope to delay additional payments until production is confirmed. So we don't need it now. And maybe we don't need it till June 30th. And maybe we won't need it even till after that. Until production is confirmed. Until somebody says, yes, we will build these machines for you for this much money. And that will largely depend on the manufacturing agreement we enter into. Okay. All right. So hold on to your money for now. The collector's edition was set at $199, not to encourage an upsell, but to allow the opportunity for all Zidware customers to get in on the limited run, which will feature special elements. Special elements. We stress it is not necessary to have a $199 Magic Girl Collector's Edition ordered to commence production, nor are we forcing anyone to convert from their current title. Okay, so you stress that. But I don't think you know that. I don't think you have any idea, unless you do have some sort of, working plan to build these things. I don't think you can even speak to that at this point. Let's say you only get, how many Magic Girls were there? 15, 16, 24 buyers? Well, let's say it was 24. Let's say you get 50. That includes some other zombie game and Alice in Wonderland people moving their money towards this Magic Girl. Let's say you get 50. Who's going to build 50 games for you? It's going to be really tough. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's going to be really difficult. Special elements. Okay. And we're not forcing anyone to convert their current title. Well, in your original letter, when you were saying you're going to get half your credit, half your money paid in to the lower price title, that could be conceived as maybe not forcing, but certainly giving someone a pretty swift shove in a direction. I think so. The reason we created the Magic Girl Classic is to get possible new sales quicker on a machine that is nearly complete. These potential profits in turn will allow us to now confirm one-to-one credit for Raza and Alice in Wonderland purchasers. So they have gotten rid of the 1-to-2 bad idea credit exchange they were going to do. That's good. That's positive, because that wasn't going to work. That in fact was really pretty poor in my opinion, to even think to float that out there. So what they're saying is, hey, we know we're going to do this $10,000 Magic Girl or possibly $12,000 Magic Girl, and that's going to cover our losses, because they're going to have losses. They're starting a pinball company in the hole, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like that should be the title to this whole thing. You're starting in a hole. Hold on. You are starting in a hole. It's not like me and Ben Heck and Josh Sharp and I don't know, and your pet rabbit went and said, hey, let's start a pinball company, and we're going to build, I don't know, Motorhead Pinball, and we got the Motorhead license for free. There's no licensing there. Lemmy just wants to build games. Lemmy's, in fact, a partner in our pinball company, and we're going to go build these games and sell a bunch of games, and it'll be great, right? No. Because our first 50 games, or at least our first 24 games or so, or some portion of our first run of these games, we're not going to get money for, because they were already paid to some other guy. And we got to eat that, right? Like, this is hard. This is really, really hard. So they're working on this idea that they're going to sell the Magic Girl Classic that doesn't have the special elements. And that's going to, like, make up for this hole that they're starting out in. Okay? Our next communication will be strictly answering questions arising from this correspondence. This endeavor was strictly born out of the desire to get the money we all lost to Zidware. We have spoken to many of you personally in the last few days. The positive responses, encouraging words have been absolutely amazing. Oh, have they? We want to thank everyone who's lent a hand to help out. For those who we haven't talked to yet, we invite you to call at your earliest convenience. Look forward to speaking with you personally. Pantasia Design, Bill and Sabrina. Okay, so that's the letter. Now let me say this. That's a better start. It's really unfortunate that first letter from John ever came out, because boy, oh boy, did that, I think, show your hand on how not well thought out this whole thing is. Because I don't think this is well thought out. And this is my personal opinion, reading all of the posts. Because throughout this post, Mr. Bill Brandis starts coming in. And he says things like, here's a quote from Bill 2 days ago, past where that letter was posted. He says, I'm going to bed, however, to answer simply, if John is fielding lawsuits all day, every day, then we cannot get out of him what we need in these machines, simple as that. We haven't even begun to figure out who gets a machine first, but I will be last. Okay. So he said that, and he said, guys, I'm not going to cry if the support is not there, and hey, all you can do is try. I'm spending the time and effort to see if I can get this thing across the finish line. That's it. All Pantasia profit from machines will go to the customers until everyone is fully made whole. Okay, I really do believe, I want to believe that at the end of the day, Bill is in this because he really thinks that this machine is something special, and hey, he stuck thousands and thousands of dollars out in it, and if he can somehow be the guy that can use his skills, and his skills are in the business world, if he can use his skills to push this project across the finish line, thus saving himself this loss of money, thus saving fellow Pinsiders a loss of money, thus getting these games that we've been hearing about for years and years out into the public, then he wants to do that. I believe that is absolutely the spark. Reading between all the lines, though, reading John's letter where he says these people hope to become a big player in pinball and all this, and then reading the turn that they've had against John. And when I say there are people posting with Bill that are clearly, I'm going to say with Bill, not necessarily, I won't say they're part of Pantasia, but I'm just going to say they're definitely cheerleading for Bill and on Bill's side, and you can go figure that out. But you see the turn that happened after the public outcry against John's letter, and hey man, I'm not a genius, but I can see what's going on there. They very clearly start to distance themselves from John, and at first it's no, John's gonna be there to be the consultant, get these games built, to the whole John's not gonna have much to do with this. John's out. It's very much John bad. Yeah, we agree. John bad. Come on, get on board with us. And I'm a little bit torn because, as I said at the end of 167, at least it's something, right? Like, at least somebody's doing something. I wrote Bill Brandis. I wrote Bill. The name confuses me because I've been thinking of it as WC Brandis all day long. I wrote him an email earlier and just said, hey man, I'm going to keep talking about the situation. In all fairness, if you have anything you want me to say or want to be said for you, or anything I should know that might influence what I'm going to say about this, please let me know. And you're invited on the show anytime you want to come on. So I threw that out to him. And I guess my point there is, I don't know what my point is. My point is, and I said to him, my point is this. And I said, hats off to you for trying to get something done. Because it's not a good situation. There's no guarantees here. If a lot of lawsuits come at John, which sounds like that's starting to happen, I don't see how this doesn't blow apart. You can't just take the one thing that your company actually has a value, which is the design of the games, and give them to somebody else to go try and build and sell and make money on, and think that that's okay if you're going to have to bankrupt your company that designed those. And oh, you owe people all this money. I don't think you can do that. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm fairly certain that's not going to fly. So it's possible that none of this happens. I really hope that this is a white knight situation with Pintasia, and they really think they're doing the best thing. But I got to tell you, everything I'm seeing just screams at me, you didn't get the memo. We've been writing the same memo over and over. Do I even have to tell you what the memo says something very simple. It says building pinball machines is hard. To think that you're going to come in and take this design and do what all these other companies have taken years and cost themselves tons of money and sweat and to just build this game, and then we're going to build 2 versions of it, even 2 versions of it, not just 1 but 2. And we're going to sell a bunch at $10,000 or $12,000. It tells me a few things. It tells me A, you don't know the pinball industry. B, your market research on the sales side of pinball and what the market will bear for a game and for this game and for just this whole situation is sorely lacking. I mean, let's all remember, a $16,000 Magic Girl was based on a very, very limited run number of games. It was pitched as the ultimate unobtainium game. I think there was even something in there that said you couldn't display this game in public or it would void your warranty. I mean, this was supposed to be the collector of collectors. And now there's going to be double, triple, quintuple, 10 times the amount of those games built. So how is it still $16,000 if that was one of the main selling points? You cannot ignore the fact that this game was also announced before all these other games had even existed, before The Big Lebowski, before America's Most Haunted, before the next spooky game that we're going to know about by the end of the year, before The Hobbit, before Wizard of Oz had shipped around the country. And quite frankly, before Stern went on a run of building really sought-after games, before Highway Pinball. I mean, that is one of the problems with this whole situation, is that people paid a lot of money for something that's probably not worth it to most. I mean, right, it's worth it to, if somebody will pay it, it's worth it, right? I know we say that, but I think it's pretty hard to justify this game at $16,000. I don't see it. And so not only are you going to build up to 199 of them, and I think, let's not kid ourselves, there's no way they build 199. There's no way they get that many people to top off their deposits or pay in more. No way they get to 199. But now you're going to take this game and you're going to build a lot more than originally was pitched to these buyers. Some of them are going to swallow that and just take it just so they get something, right? I totally get that. I probably would be in that boat. If I had 16 grand on this, I would probably be in the boat of, hey man, fine, I just want the game. But then you're also going to build a classic version without special elements, and that's unlimited, and that's going to be what you kind of build this business on, because let's be really clear, they're trying to start a pinball business here. And they've backed way off that. That's really, there's been a whole lot of, this is for the love of pinball. This is to recover our money. And you know what? That honestly makes me feel worse about the whole situation. I would much rather Bill Brandis post a YouTube video saying, I'm a businessman. I know how to make money doing pinball. John Papaduke does not know how to make money doing pinball. In fact, he knows how to blow through a lot of money making pinball. But I like these games, I like these designs, I like the artwork, and I want to help some people get something out of this. I think actually promising everybody to get everything out of it is probably not a good move. But if I would like to see Bill get on a YouTube video and say, I'm going to make money off of Magic Girl. I'm going to build these games, and they're going to sell for X. And here's the problem. If you don't know what the bill of materials is, if you don't know how you're going to build them, you shouldn't be talking about the game. All this, we don't know yet, does not instill any confidence. But I would love to see somebody stand up and say, here's my plan. We're going to build 400 games. They're going to be $8,000. I'm going to sell them. If you already paid for 16 grand, you get one of these games. I'm sorry you lost $8,000. That's John's fault. But we're going to build this game. And that's what I'm going to do as the license holder of Magic Girl. I'm going to give you that game. And that I would be much happier. I want somebody who says I'm going to be a capitalist here and make money building this. Because this whole for the love of pinball thing, when this turns south and you see how hard it is to figure out how to get all these parts and get all these parts together and figure out how to, program a game properly, and it drags on and things don't work and parts don't work and you have to send them back, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When all that starts, or when your first few that you build have little tiny problems that kind of make them not right, whatever it is. When that all goes, that for the love of pinball thing is going to get really thin, really weak, really quick. But if you're out there trying to make money, make your livelihood, that's when you get through it. That's when you're spooky pinball. So I don't have a lot of good things to say about this plan other than, hey, they're doing something. But when you look at the situation with the license, I think it's shaky with Zidware being in such a bad financial jail cell of sorts. Because let's not forget, not only did they take all this money from customers, they didn't pay vendors. CoinTaker's still posting today, Tuesday, May 26th, that they've not heard anything. The guy who did the programming for John, or some of the programming, one of the guys who did programming for John, Pinsider by the name of Applejuice, has not been paid for his work. We have other parts manufacturers, Lawsuits could screw this up really quick. The money for the IP. I wrote that note down. Why that's important? Because for the love of pinball, right? We're doing this for you guys. So well, then tell us how you got the license. Tell us what did he give it to you? Did you pay off some bills for him? What happened here? Because I know there's all this separation, but you did get the license to build his designs. They're saying they're going to take this game to a pinball show in June, and all speculation points to the Northwest Pinball Show in the Seattle area. I think you're out of your minds. I saw a post tonight. This, yay, we got, vacuum ramps. Vacuum molded ramps are done. Awesome. And the guy who molded them is on Pinside, and he seems like a great guy. He seems excited to do it. From all intents and purposes, sounds like he does great work. Awesome. However, you're telling me you don't have ramps on a game, and you're going to take it to a pinball show in 7 or 10 days or whatever it is. Why? Why is there this rush to take this game to the Northwest Pinball Show? Don't do that. I think the big question has been, is John going to be there with the game, or is it going to be just the Pintasia group? I know Zombie Yeti's going to be there. What if it doesn't play right? What if it doesn't flip well? I mean, I know they're working on it, but and so there's been a few Pinsiders say, I've played a flipping version. They're using code, presumably, that was allegedly written by someone who's not been paid. Allegedly. Don't sue me, allegedly. This isn't good. I would much rather they hide themselves away for 90 days and get this game dialed in and flipping and show me a high-quality video. Because how many people are going to be at the Northwest Show? A few hundred? How many people are going to be in the room when they show the game? A couple hundred, if that? It's going to be video anyway. And you're cobbling this thing together in 2 weeks? I mean, I don't know how long they've been working on it. Maybe it's been 3 months. But the fact that the ramps are just being made in the last 24 hours, there's no reason to rush this game to that show. Don't do that. I don't think that's a good idea. I could go on and on and on, and we'll probably go on and on again about it more. In a nutshell, I think that it's fantastic that somebody has stepped up and wanted to try and help out in this situation. And to a lot of people who have money invested in this, whether you were in on Magic Girl for the full amount, whether you were in on Alice in Wonderland for a couple $1,000s, I'm sure there are a portion of those investors, buyers, customers, whatever you want to call them, who are happy somebody's out there trying to get these games built. However, I think there's a real chance that the outcome that needs to happen here is not a good one. And I don't say needs to happen as in like a punishment towards John, because I do not subscribe to the intense, the almost violent vibes and really intense, like, you know, eye for an eye type of thing. I mean, that's not me. It's not me. I don't believe that this is a criminal situation. I just don't. And I had a few people email me that really disagreed with me when I said that last episode. I don't believe John set out to scam people. I think this is a civil matter. It's a business matter. Businesses go out. Hey man, I've owned stock in companies that sent me prospectuses on their company and said things are great and predicted huge earnings in a quarter down the road and went out of business before those earnings ever came in. Sometimes that happens, and I'm not saying I want that, but what I'm saying is I'm not seeing a really good path here. I'm just not. So, again, 2 episodes in a row, I feel like I wish I could just end this on a happier note, but it is what it is, man. It's this weird thing that's happening in independently built pinball machines right now in 2015, and it's too bad. And luckily, thankfully, I think there's much better and much brighter happenings on the horizon for highway pinball, for Dutch pinball, for spooky pinball, for multimorphic pinball, for others I'm probably not thinking of right now. And I'm not gonna ring too many bells for you unless I've seen something that flips balls. You know what I'm saying? So I guess with that, I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna keep reading. I would say, if you're listening, Bill, slow down. Like slow down. And if the rush is all to try and beat the litigation and try and save John, you're not going to be able to move fast enough for that. That is not going to happen. Building pinball machines is hard, and it's going to take a while. So strap in if you really want to get into this thing. And if I were you, I would be calling all the other people doing this and looking for advice. And honestly, some of those people have told me that they have been contacted in the past few months on this project, and it's interesting. It's interesting what they've said. So I wish everyone the best of luck. I hope that there's a better outcome than what I'm seeing, and there very well could be. They could get enough people on board. They could spend enough of their own money. Somebody may come in and say, I'm going to build these games for you. And, 2 years from today, we might see some Magic Girls out there in the world. And if so, fantastic. Until next time, thank you for listening. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your feedback. And play some more pinball. We'll talk to you again soon.